and shine your light. You know the time is right. You gotta go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Step out and take a chance. Walk the talk, join the dance. Relax, enjoy the ride. Let kindness be your guide. You got to go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. Go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. One voice, one hand, one heart. Wanna change, just make a start. We're one big family. What's good for you is good for me. Come on now, go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. You gotta go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Go out and shine.
Welcome to Unity Comox Valley. Welcome to this celebration service. We celebrate the truth that we are spiritual beings, uniquely expressing our divine nature. We celebrate the truth that we are part of a worldwide spiritual movement. We celebrate that Unity honors and acknowledges that all lives are of sacred worth. You are welcome here. Wherever you are on your personal journey, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are in good company in Unity. Would you join me in our mission statement? Unity Comox Valley is a loving, caring community coming together for spiritual growth and renewal. We actively and consciously serve others by radiating God's love and joy in our daily lives. Thank you for radiating this love and joy, and for all the ways that you love and serve others. Now let's bring that into our opening prayer. Would you join me, please? We join together now, soul to soul, heart to heart. Bringing ourselves into this quiet, still place within. This still point of the circle. This still point where we meet, where we are one in spirit. And as we turn aside just for a few moments from all the outer circumstances and activities of the day and rest in this inner place, we can already feel the peace, the love, the strength infilling us. We know that as spiritual beings, we have all things necessary to live a satisfying and fulfilling life that we are never without. And we have learned to turn our attention away from outer circumstances, from our perspectives, which change with each day, so that we can stand in the ground of our being, in the solidity of our faith, in the one presence, the one power, the one love. And so we give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for the purpose that draws us together. We give thanks for the spiritual community where we are supported, inspired, and belong. We are grateful for this. We let it be, and so it is. Amen. Today is the first Sunday of Advent, and the word for today is faith. So we're going to see and hear Heather read the daily word for today and light the candle of faith.
Good morning. My name is Heather. Today is Sunday, November the 29th, and this is the first Sunday of Advent. So I am going to light the candle of faith. My faith lights my path and guides my way. As Advent season begins, my thoughts turn to faith. I believe in my capacity to be hopeful, assured, and strengthened as I embark on this journey of faith. Faith keeps me open to discovering reasons to have hope, even when I do not yet see any evidence for my hopefulness. Faith gives me assurance that my indwelling divinity will lead me to accomplish all that I set out to achieve. Faith fortifies me with the necessary strength to transcend my limited human knowledge, allowing divine wisdom to guide my thoughts and actions. I believe in good things to come, and I believe in my ability to bring those things into manifestation. I am grateful for the gift of faith. And from Romans 15, verse 13, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Heather. In a few minutes, you're going to listen to a video clip from Unity World Headquarters. These headquarters are located at Unity Village, just outside of Kansas City, Missouri. I know many of you have been to Unity Village and have a sense of the scope of the Unity movement and its history of over 125 years. Unity Village is our spiritual home. It is the place where licensed Unity teachers and ministers receive their training. It is a retreat center. It is where the daily word is published, created and published. And it is the home of Silent Unity, who holds us in prayer 24 hours a day. Jim Blake is the CEO, and with the board and the staff of Unity Village, he is really excited about what Unity has to offer today, these days, in 2020. He was speaking at the International New Thought Alliance conference that was held virtually in June, and his words really inspired me because he's talking about practical spirituality. So I contacted him and asked if he would share his talk with me, and he sent it to you, and now I would like to share that with you. He does share some statistics about church attendance and church decline, and he mentions that these are from the US, but the same percentages apply right across the board in Canada and Europe. So we'll sing the song Faith first, and then we'll hear from Jim.
According to my faith, just as I believe it, this is the world I see. I expand it open, knowing nothing is impossible. What I expect shall be. Unlimited God in me. According to my faith, just as I believe it, This is the world I see. I expand and open, knowing nothing is impossible. What I expect shall be. Unlimited God in me, according to my faith, just as I believe. This is the world I see. I expand and open, knowing nothing is impossible. What I expect shall be. Unlimited God in me, according to my faith, just as I believe. This is the world I see. I expand and open, knowing nothing is impossible. What I expect shall be. Unlimited God in me, unlimited God in me, unlimited God in me.
Greetings to all of you attending this year's INTA Congress. I am Jim Blake, and I serve as the CEO for Unity World Headquarters at Unity Village. It is truly my honor and privilege to be with you during this year's event. With today's theme centering around practical spirituality, I thought it might be interesting to explore how together we might continue to share a new thought message in a world where fewer and fewer people are affiliated with any religious tradition, and many are even turned away by the concept of spirituality. So what does practical spirituality look like at a time when traditional faith systems with Christian theology are shrinking, and the next generation of people are largely unaffiliated with a religious tradition at all? Before I delve deeply into that question, let me share a little background with you related to our evolution at Unity World Headquarters and my own personal journey. In the fall of 2016, when I returned to the Village campus in the role of CEO, I was still relatively raw from the death of my 25-year-old daughter who had lost a battle with cancer. It was a heart-wrenching and horrifying experience, to say the least. In our time spent in hospitals, clinics, and chemo waiting rooms, that experience brought me face to face with the pure volume of people suffering. The suffering of those afflicted with the disease, the friends and family members left feeling helpless, all of them, including myself, searching for means to cope. With this new perception, I then began to notice and see all of the areas of suffering throughout our society. I began to really become present with the incredible volume of people struggling with depression, anxiety, disease, and economic inequities. I saw the enormity of stress on the majority of our population and its impact on the mental and physical well-being of every individual. All of this led me to a simple conclusion as to my calling to serve at Unity World Headquarters. I wanted us to help and serve people by providing tools and resources that would help people cope with all of the suffering and struggle prevalent in their lives. It was crystal clear to me that Unity and New Thought as a whole were more than equipped with our unique gift of teachings to bring relief to the masses in mind, body, and spirit. Upon arrival at the Village, our leaders, in conjunction with our 300-plus community of associates, worked to redefine our mission and purpose. Today, our mission statement is to help and serve more people through prayer, publishing, and community. This statement took hold on grounds and drives every decision we make, whether it be business-related or ministry and program-related. As we begin to explore what this looked like in expression, we turn to the hundreds of thousands of constituents we serve all across our ministries to ask what was needed from us. Resoundingly, the response was, we want tools and resources that help us with everyday human struggles and personal growth. The Board of Directors, our executive team, and our committed associates all came together to architect our entire strategic plan around meeting the personal and practical spiritual needs of the various audiences we serve. Grounded in principle, we did this knowing and trusting that if we do this work, the people, talent, prosperity, funding, and other resources we need will come forth as needed and when needed. Thus far, that has held true even beyond our expectations. A pillar of our commitment to our new mission was to reestablish and prioritize a new outreach program from Unity Village. It provides booklets to be used by our churches and individuals in their respective communities on topics like facing cancer with faith, grief, worthiness, and addiction. These materials have been distributed in local communities by over 300 churches across the U.S. In 2020, we will unveil a new website design that is completely redesigned to help people connect quickly and easily with resources to help them in their time of need. It will be less about our organization and the specific ministries and more about the supportive, relevant content and practices offered by them. People aren't looking for who we are and how we are structured. They're looking for the powerful transformational resources and teachings we can offer them. So when they visit this new website, the content will be grouped according to healing, grief, guidance, prosperity, and other topics relevant to their lives. We know the terms people search for online, and we know what's troubling them when they call Silent Unity. So this gives us a good sense of how we can more practically help and serve them. The religious demographic profile we serve is extremely broad. Nearly all of the Christian denominations consume our offerings in numbers you might not expect. Daily Word and Silent Unity serve constituent populations that are made up of 20% Catholic, 20% Baptist, and 40% other, with the final 20% being Unity True students. That's helpful to keep in mind when you see what Unity publishes and offers online. We're aiming for an audience that includes but also reaches beyond people familiar with New Thought. That's why it might seem very basic to some of us, but it's new to someone just discovering this way of thinking, just realizing they can choose to be positive, just understanding that their thoughts have creative power, or beginning to believe their essence is divine. The Fillmore's early intentions for the Unity philosophy was for it to be an adjunct to people's spiritual lives and not convert them to anything. I believe today, more than ever, our New Thought teachings are positioned perfectly to serve the melting pot of spiritual seekers searching for practical resources to help them in their daily struggles. Let's look at who they are. The nones, or non-affiliated population in the U.S., according to an October 2019 study from Pew Research, now stands at nearly 30%. Protestantism is down 51%, while the Catholic tradition has fallen 23% since 2009. Over half of Americans say they attend religious services only a few times a year. 3/4 of baby boomers describe themselves as Christians, while only half of millennials describe themselves as Christian. 4 in 10 millennials are religious nones, and roughly 2/3 of millennials attend worship services a few times a year or less. So let's revisit our question from earlier now. What does practical spirituality look like? At a time when traditional faith systems with Christian theology are shrinking and the next generation of people are largely unaffiliated with a religious tradition. Based on the data and our 3 years of anecdotal experience, it is clear to us that the majority of seekers are searching for content and messages that are less about theology and more about coping with the personal circumstances in their own lives. Practical spirituality to them looks like basic useful tools and messages to help them deal with the disturbances in their lives, as well as provide a path for personal growth. Collectively, one of our biggest challenges is to present the teaching tools and resources we have in language both secular and religious, so it may be heard by populations and generations respective to each sector. Then once we have our messaging in place, we must then learn to connect to those we serve in the mediums and spaces that are convenient to them. Print, digital, social media, podcasts, and apps. This will allow us to present the tools and resources that introduce them to our philosophy and guide them along their specific personal evolution. Equally as important, there are scores of marginalized populations, the African American population, the Hispanic population, the LGBTQ population, to name a few, that are wildly underserved in relation to spiritual tools and resources dedicated to them and their specific journeys. These populations want and deserve to be seen and heard with tools and resources specific to their circumstances in today's world. each of them with a completely different view and completely different experience of the world and from each other. Other important considerations include making our teachings accessible to those with disabilities or people who are simply getting older. At Unity, we are blessed to be able to offer Daily Word in large type, as well as Braille and audio. We do our best to be thoughtful with color and design in booklets and magazines to maximize readability for easier consumption of our messaging. For those of us that include buildings and campuses in our delivery models, physical accessibility must remain top of mind as well. For instance, last year we commissioned a professional assessment of the core Unity campus to help us find ways to make it more accessible for visitors and events. Ideas that weren't considered when the village was built 100 years ago. It's vitally important we acknowledge that the world works much differently from their place in today's society. Practical spirituality to these populations may look much the same in terms of the types of resources, tools, and content, but it must include messaging and acknowledgement of their unique identities and circumstances. In 2020, practical spirituality doesn't mean we lead with the deepest levels of knowledge and experience related to our New Thought traditions, nor is it the strictest adherence to our doctrine and our own inherent dogma. Before approaching those levels, the student must practically, in their day-to-day experience, come to terms with their own self-worth and self-acceptance, in order to be able to hear deeply and intrinsically what it means to be at one with the divine within. They must have time to properly be introduced and to digest this new philosophy and the associated changes in thinking and management of thoughts and emotions. Most of us needed that time too. They must have time to understand at a deep level what it means to be an outward expression of the divine in a benevolent universe designed to support them. They must have time to develop the ears that can hear how our thoughts, our emotions, and subsequently our actions create both our inner and outer experiences. This amount of personal growth and evolution does take time, as we all know. Nobody was born quoting Charles Fillmore. And so practical spirituality in 2020 requires us to meet people wherever they are on life's journey and their understanding of how to navigate it. It requires us to be creative in how we reach them. For instance, this means being willing to serve those who have embraced New Age practices and beliefs, and using common threads of that belief to stitch together a bridge, leading them deeper into a New Thought understanding of what they are experiencing. We can actively create tools and resources similar to what they are attached to in this phase of their journey, but grounded in New Thought teachings and philosophies. This allows us to practically guide them through the journey of the human condition and all of its peaks and valleys, by meeting them where they are while sharing the transformative power of our philosophies. Take, for example, the popular concept of spiritual card decks. There was a time in Unity where tarot cards and angel cards would have been considered too New Age and not in alignment with our teachings. Yet when we create decks based on affirmative prayer, healing affirmations, prosperity, and peace, as we have, now we have a bridge between a commonly held New Age practice and our Unity teachings. Practical spirituality in 2020 looks much the same as it did when it exploded on the scene 100+ years ago. The difference is in the evolution required for those of us seeking to help and serve in today's climate. It lies in our efforts to accept and understand the changing views, population segments, language requirements, and needs of those various groups, demographics, and seekers in the modern context, and being willing to position our teachings in ways and means that allow them to connect with and understand our message. The Fillmores purposely couched the Unity philosophy in Christianity at a time when it was the prevalent tradition. They did so in an effort to help those familiar with that tradition see the truth in the Unity message. In much the same way, we must now position our teachings in secular, non-affiliated, and even New Age belief systems so that our transformative messages can be heard and understood by the multitudes journeying along those paths. In closing, I would like to take a moment to honor and applaud the great works being done by each and every one of you and your respective organizations. At this particular time in our world, the New Thought message is needed more than ever and can serve as a profound vehicle for change. As we all know, every change, no matter how big or small, begins in consciousness. My prayer for each of us is that our collective efforts in service toward a modern, practical spirituality will manifest in profound avenues for us to touch people in such a way that allows them to elevate their thought, emotion, words, and actions, leading to personal transformation and the activity of spirit in all that they do. I leave you with this quote from Charles Fillmore. "The value of all service lies in the spirit in which you serve and not in the importance or magnitude of the service. Even the lowliest task or deed is made holy, joyous, and prosperous when it is filled with love." Thank you for your time today and the opportunity to explore these important topics in a changing world. May each of you be richly blessed. Namaste.
In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home.
Thank you for joining me in this time of prayer and contemplation. At the conclusion of this time, I will be sharing with you a prayer written by someone in the affirmative prayer class. We will begin now by setting aside all that is happening in our lives so that we can be present to this time and this purpose. We begin by quieting our minds. Perhaps the image of a mountain reminds us of our strength, stability, groundedness. Through prayer, we are able to transform thoughts and rise above circumstances. Through prayer, we can harmonize any discords and heal any concerns. Established in the center of my being, I am still and peaceful. With every breath, I drop deeper into the center of my being. I settle into the silent yet perceptible presence of spirit, source energy. I become still. I am centered. In the silence of prayer, I am centered in divine wisdom. I breathe out thoughts such as I can't or I don't know. I realize I am capable of knowing all I need to know for the moments ahead. I am inspired to think and act in ways that support well-being. In the silence of prayer, I am centered in divine life. Moving my focus to the light of life within, I become aware of healing energy streaming throughout my body. I remind myself that divine life is irrepressible, eternal, and ever renewing. In the season celebrating the birth of Jesus, our model for spiritual living, we dedicate this time to prayer, to pray, and reflect on the truth of our divine nature, the birth and every moment rebirth of Christ consciousness. We amplify our innate qualities of faith, love, wisdom, and life as we move through this season. With expectant faith, we are optimistic and confident. Although we cannot see far ahead, we trust the path. By the power of faith, we are propelled toward the achievement of our deepest desires and highest intentions. We see, with eyes of faith, the promises fulfilled well ahead of our arrival there. Centered in peace, we broadcast peace on earth and goodwill to all. We emanate the Christ consciousness of peace. We let our circle of peace expand to bless all beings, envisioning a world where love and compassion direct every thought and action. As we go out into our world, we remain in the state of expectant faith, peace of mind, harmonious love, and spiritual joy. And now for the closing prayer. Divine Spirit, your presence permeates all realms and illuminates my heart. As one, we walk on sacred ground. We are surrounded by divine light and infused with grace. Love is eternal on earth and throughout the universe. Daily, we flow in the stream of divine abundance. Through forgiveness, we are released from our past sorrows, and our hearts are open, allowing love to roam. May we remember our divine nature and be guided with unwavering strength at life's crossroads. Let us celebrate this infinite source of celestial light, grateful to be blessed with divine life and radiant power for all eternity. Amen, and so it is. Would you join me in the prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is.
I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home.
You know about these booklets that Jim referred to, the ones on cancer, on grief, on recovery from addictions, on care for caregivers. We received here at Unity Comox Valley 50 copies of each of these editions. They were freely given to us and sent to us from Unity World Headquarters, and they were distributed to you. Now you know where they came from. This is part of Jim's legacy and gift to the Unity movement. I love the quote from Charles Fillmore that he shared at the end. The value of all service lies in the spirit in which you serve, and not in the importance or magnitude of the service. Even the lowliest tasks or deed is made holy, joyous, prosperous when it's filled with love. You know, today is the Sunday that we associate with faith, the first Sunday of Advent. And I recalled a story that I heard when I was at Unity Village, and it may be a bit of a legend, but I think there's some truth to it. So back in the early, maybe 1920s or so, when the Unity Village land was just being put together and they were starting to hold conferences, although they called them revivals back then, and people would travel from all over the United States to Unity Village by stagecoach, horse and buggies, and by the beginnings of automobiles. And so a group left Southern California in a car and started driving towards Unity Village. When they were crossing the desert in southern Nevada, and they realized they had very little gas, and eventually the gas meter just went to empty, and they were in the middle of the desert, and they thought, okay, let's just stop and pray and have faith that we will continue. So the group stopped and prayed, and they started up the car and made it all the way through the desert. When they got to the other side, they stopped at a gas station and gassed up, and then made their way to Unity Village. When they got to Unity Village, they shared this story with Charles Fillmore about this amazing miracle that had occurred in the desert. And he said, "Why did you stop for gas? Your faith got you through the desert. If it got you through the desert, it would have got you all the way to Missouri." So it was kind of an interesting, sometimes we think our faith is only this much, or we can only call on it in emergencies, or that it's limited in some way. And of course, we know that's not the truth, that our faith is unlimited. It is one of our spiritual qualities that we have. We are born with it, and we can use our faith in any direction we want to. Kind of like a flashlight. We can shine it on abundance, prosperity, wholeness, or we can shine it on lack and limitation. So I invite you to use your faith wisely and mindfully so that it brings you strength, joy, and all good things. I wanted to share with you, no, actually, I'm going to wait here, share this at the end. So first, just a couple things about what's coming up. As you know, this is our Christmas hamper time of year, and last week I mentioned that our community outreach team has accumulated all the information we need so that we can still actively participate in this program, and all that information is in your newsletter, so please read your newsletter. On Sunday mornings at 10:30, we have the Unity chat room. It goes on for an hour, and we have a topic each Sunday, and people, you can just drop in and join the discussion. The theme for November was peace, and so this is what the topic, the particular aspect of peace is going to be this Sunday. The group is focusing on ahimsa. So this is a concept with roots in Buddhism, Hinduism, and the Jain traditions. And what it means is a respect for all living things and avoidance of violence toward others. So if that's kind of twigs your curiosity and your imagination, please come in at 10:30 on Sunday mornings. The link is also in your newsletter. You can find it there. Unity Comox Valley is a 100% self-supporting organization. Your gifts make it possible for us to continue to bring the Unity message of personal growth, spiritual growth, and transformation to all who are seeking it. We receive your gifts with thanks, knowing that joy flows from the giving, love grows from the sharing, and faith blossoms from the receiving. With gratitude in your hearts and minds, would you please join me? Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And now I'd like to share a poem with you by Maddie Stepanek. You know, I've shared his work before. It's a beautiful little soul who knew he only had a very short time on the planet, decided to write about some very important things. And this one is called Proving Faith. I am inclined to a natural religion, common to all, with the proof of God's existence, resting on faith. I am inclined to see goodness in all, with the proof of humanity's worth, resting in faith. I am inclined to a desire for peace, for all things created, with the proof of hope as a choice, resting with faith. I am inclined to believing in miracles, relying on grace, with the proof of blessings granted through faith. Wise words. So right now we're going to sing the peace song. Have a wonderful week, and see you next Sunday. Namaste. are some of the ways you can stay connected with your spiritual community. You can send a thought of the day. You can read the daily word. You can make a song request. If you don't know the title, just send a phrase or a couple of words and we'll find it for you. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter, which includes updates from Unity Comox Valley and also resources from all around the Unity movement. Email us at info@unitycomoxvalley.com. Write to me, to the board. We want to hear from you.